Welcome to the Collector's Catacomb, episode number 9. My name is DRR Erik Castle. I'm here with my panel tonight, and we're going to discuss some more or less antiques, collectibles, militaria, and a sort of bunch of other stuff. We're also going to discuss Vivian Maier as a street photographer that I guess has been recently found. I would say recent in the last year or so, and we're going to discuss some of her work and the history behind her. Drew's going to, enlighten us on Vivian Maier. She seems to be the big thing out there in photography right now, which is highly collectible. So we're going to discuss that this evening. So without further ado, I already introduced myself as Erik Castle. I'm a collector of militaria mostly. I also dabble in antiques and other collectibles and stuff. Retired from the Army, just loving this stuff, so that's what we sit around and talk about. My panel tonight is, we'll go ahead and get them introduced. We'll start with Dan. Dan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Dan Wright. You guys hear me okay? I just grabbed my headset and just ran in here. I collect all kinds of stuff, but I do a lot of cameras. I do military. I do rustic and old things, antique furniture. I've been lately into clocks, and I've been doing some clock repair, taking some classes on how to do it. So it's been kind of fun playing with that a little bit. So anyhow, I have a YouTube channel, and it's Dan at More Old Stuff, and I'll type something in the chat so you can look at it. I do a lot of haul videos, but lately I started a series on tips about picking up stuff at auctions. So whether you're sourcing it to resell or sourcing it to collect, just kind of, for a lot of people who've never been to auctions, just give you some tips. This is stuff that I've learned over the years in doing it, and then I'll show you some of the stuff I picked up. I'll be attending a series of auctions for the next 3 months, and so I'm going to be doing some videos and some tips on that. So, all right, welcome.
Awesome, Dan. Thanks. And we'll move on over to Elena. Elena, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scrapperella, and I have a YouTube channel, and I'm part of the Reseller Society Facebook group. And pretty much my expertise, I guess, would be scrap metals and jewelry, and I pretty much make videos on things that are selling well on eBay, and that's about it. So, hi, if you've never seen me before, check out my channel.
Great. And we have the golden finger picker, Chad. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey folks, I'm Chad, the golden finger picker. My wife and myself, she's the Florida Picking Queen. We have a YouTube channel, it's Golden Finger Picker. And we are also part of the Reseller Society. We just like old stuff. We like learning about old stuff. So the stuff I'm going to be showing today is learning. I'm going to be learning about it too, because everybody's probably going to be correcting me. So I'm excited about this stuff. And I do want to apologize about the resellers meet and greet, which we didn't have last night because we were making this move. Next Wednesday, we are hitting it full force. We're going to be back, and we're really excited about it. So we'll finally be moved in, and we'll be moving forward. So thank you.
Awesome. All right. Drew, the California Picker.
Hey guys, I'm Drew, the California Picker. I have a YouTube channel called California Pickin', and I show you guys on videos fine art and antiques and vintage collectibles. I sell at the swap meets and do a little eBay and basically break it all down for you. So if you have any questions about antiques, shoot them our way.
Great. And last but not least, our MC for the evening, Mr. Cool Toads. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Sean Cool Toads. Also, I have a channel here on YouTube called Cool Toads. I have a page on Facebook called Cool Toads Pad, and Yeah, you can find me all over Facebook, generally speaking, except the last couple of days. But yeah, that's me. Here to MC.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. We appreciate you here filling in for Brian. So we don't have a guest this evening, so we're gonna kick it off with some background and history, and I guess the story of Vivian Maier. I'm going to flip through some of her photography while Drew goes over her story and whatever else he's got to share with us. Does that sound good, Drew?
Sounds good.
All right. So you go ahead and lead right into it, Drew. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up.
Okay, I just became aware of this story recently, but I think it has been going on for a couple years now. There's a lady named Vivian Maier, and she was a photographer, an amateur photographer, who was also a nanny, or a nanny who was also a photographer. And she lived this very strange life in that she took care of other people's kids, and it wasn't strange, it was just artistic. And she would go out on these forays and take pictures with her cameras, black and whites, of the people of the day. And she was very good at it, and she never showed her pictures to anybody. And she lived like that in private, working for some other families, raising their kids, and taking photographs on the side. It seems like she didn't have any professional aspirations to show them. There was one minor attempt when she was younger, in the 40s we're talking about. And the reason we all know about this story is that she passed away, and she had a storage unit or two just full, packed full of photographic negatives of the period, films, photographs, hundreds of thousands of images that she never developed, because remember, back then it was expensive to develop film. Each time you clicked the picture, the camera, you're basically spending about $1 back in the 60s. The $1 for the film, $1, a total for the development. That's what I've read. So it was kind of expensive to take pictures back then, and her film rolls consisted of basically 12 images on these film rolls, and you can see her pictures here, black and white mostly, and she would use her days off to go on these, photography forays, and she just had a knack for taking the right picture at the right time. And she used a couple different types of cameras. She used a box camera, which was, I believe, a Rolleiflex. And it was a camera that had two lenses. One lens you would look in, and the other lens would take the picture. And it would get this incredible square type of format. As you can see, all these images are square. Whereas later on, when you move to the 35 millimeter camera, the format became somewhat rectilinear and not square. So her pictures have this certain type of feeling to them, and you can just see the subject, that she took pictures of, all responded very positively. Other times she was taking pictures anonymously, like this picture here. And so her, long story short, her storage units get bought out by a couple different individuals. And there's one guy who actually really knows what he's looking at when he bought half of her photography, half of one of these storage units or whatever. And when he started developing the film, this is what he found. So it was like finding a genius that had never been recognized previously. And you can see her choice and of concept, and her development, and everything was just so. And she was an amateur, guys. So this wasn't like Ansel Adams or Edward Weston. This was somebody who was an amateur, And to get these kind of incredible results is truly fantastic. And so the person who had a lot of these photographs approached a couple major museums. He approached the Modern and the Tate, and both of them turned them down. And so what he decided was, I'm going to go, and if I got turned down by these two big institutions, I'm going to just go do my own photography exhibit. So he did start showing these, and all of a sudden, Vivian Maier became all the rage. And, you know, whenever you're talking about the great photographers, Vivian Maier will now be mentioned, you know, along with Steinglitz and you know, Bernice Abbott, and you name it. So now it's funny, now all the art museums want to show her work. So it's kind of sweet revenge with these guys, because this body of work is worth, you know, I don't really know, but, you know, in the multi-million dollars. So what we're talking about is some big time money. Now here's something that came up. There's 3 different individuals that hold most of her body of work. One guy holds about, like, I don't know, half of it, and the other people 25%, 25%. So they're not enemies, but eventually, hopefully, they'll come together, and we will have a overall exhibit with all of her work as it was found in those storage units. But it just goes to show you that if you do this long enough, and you're in the right place at the right time, and you've educated yourself, and you've developed that eye, we can find stuff like this. I mean, so that's why I posted it the other day. I love stories like this, and I know you guys would really appreciate it.
One thing I found that's kind of interesting, Drew, is the fact this was all unpublished. These weren't digital photographs that she could look at and say, oh, I did that great, or I did this great, and do it better. No. This was just, she took the picture and it stayed on film until it was developed. So in reality, I mean, she never saw any of this except when she took it.
That's right. And she was an amateur printer. They said she wasn't a very good printer. But as I said, she did make one attempt at trying to show her work in the 40s. But after that, she became really super private, almost paranoid. And I hope you guys can go watch the video that's attached to it and check out some other videos on YouTube, because you'll get an overall picture of who this woman was. And a lot of people didn't really understand her or know what she was doing. And it just goes to show you that you could be standing next to a genius and you have no idea. And like you said, Erik, these were not published. She never saw them. She took the picture. She had that special relationship with her and the subject, and then it was just filed away forever. Just a great story.
Yeah, and you see where she's holding the camera. I imagine that's how she took her pictures. And then for her to center, like, you look at the pictures, and it's not like it's digital. Like, I can just crop a photo the way I want it to. You know, and he was able to capture these, and they're really, like, they look cropped and polished, a lot of them.
That's an interesting point, because I watched this whole lecture on her, and one of the things they did say was, you didn't have to crop her work. She had such an eye that she got it right almost every time in terms of framing. Now, not every picture turned out great, let's just face it, but they were able to pull out, they said, like, you know, 2 or 3 pictures were brilliant on each contact sheet of 12, so she was shooting about 25% where it was museum quality. And even her mediocre shots were better than most people's shots. But now what's interesting is she was a spinster. She never married, never had any kids, and she took care of these 3 kids. And later on, when she became older and couldn't pay her rent, etc. These 3 kids that she took care of stepped up and paid for her rent, and later on paid for the storage units to be held onto because they knew something was special in there somehow. But then this guy comes along and says, and then is interested in those photographs, and it goes to auction. And guys, he bought his lot for something like $400, wasn't it, Erik?
Yeah, it was something like that. It wasn't a whole lot, and I've seen stuff like that go similar at auctions because people just don't know, and it's a treasure that's really held in there,
Yeah. And some of the kids that she took. Now, here's what's strange. This is sort of a sign of the times for people that grew up in that era. The people that she worked for would be working themselves. They were professionals, and they were, well-to-do sometimes. And they would give her the kids to go, spend the day with it. And she would take these kids down to these seedy areas in the city and take pictures. And none of the parents knew that she was taking pictures of their kids. So in today's standards, that'd be almost considered weird or unacceptable. But back then, it was innocent, and there was no hanky-panky. She was just doing this out of artistic expression. But very strange lady to kind of wrap your mind around. Some said she was unapproachable. Some said she was difficult. And some say that she would not want these photographs ever to be seen by the public. So they said she would most likely be shocked by it. And but look at the framing on these. I mean, they are great.
Her self-portraits are just awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those are really just phenomenal,
And I think, go ahead.
Angie Martin, she said some are in color. I wonder, was it the person who got the auction? Could they choose whether they wanted it to be in color or not?
No. This stuff was kind of broken up, and it wasn't sent to a good auction. This was one of those things, they roll up the door and they go, how much? And so the guy buys it for $50, you guys, this first storage unit. And he goes through it because he said he saw a case that had some European French labels, like travel labels on luggage. So he thought, hey, there must be something cool in there. And when he got in there, he saw that she was raised in France and then moved to New York when she was, I don't know, 14 or 15, something like that, or 7, whatever it was. But her first little part of her career taking pictures was in Europe and in France. And then she comes here with her mom, I believe, and then starts taking these pictures. But all her friends didn't know she was a photographer. They said they knew she was a photographer because she had the camera around her neck a lot. But they said she never showed them any pictures, never said anything about it, and very private individual there.
Yeah, I mean, really just amazing shots. It is quite the collection to come across,
Yeah, it reminds me of, there was some Ansel Adams photographs discovered, some plate negatives a while back, and that was a huge cachet. And of course, Ansel Adams, there's nobody, higher rated than he as far as photography and his values and such. But this lady seems to be climbing the ladder faster than anyone ever had, and she's not even around to enjoy it, which is unfortunate.
Isn't that usually how it happens?
Certain times it does, other times it absolutely does happen in your lifetime. Warhol, Picasso, they got to see themselves become famous. Obviously, somebody like Van Gogh didn't.
Right.
when I see a story like this, it gives me so much encouragement that, you know, we can maybe come across something like this.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
I sit on boxes. I sit on boxes of film. I have
Yeah.
these I have laying here because I buy cameras, and I'll buy a camera that has a roll of film in it. These are old. This is 120 and 620 films.
And that's what I was going to say. This is not just somebody coming across it. When they came across it, they acted on it. They didn't give up when the first company refused them. They didn't give up when the second company refused them. They followed the dream that was in their heart, and they brought it to life. And, you know, she did this amazing work, but it could have ended. It could have ended the second that person got the storage unit and said,
Throw it
you know,
away. Yeah.
what am I going to do with this? Or, you know, nobody's interested. You know, so it also goes a step beyond just finding the find and moving forward with it. I know Chad, he's really big on following through research and contacting people and learning the history completely of an item, like his Native American Dalmatian jacket or whatever it is.
and here's what they said. They said the guy buys the thing for $50. He goes through some stuff and he sees, you know, she was a hoarder. I mean, let's face it. She was a hoarder. She hoarded newspapers, and she took pictures a lot of times with newspapers in them. So there's photographs with newspapers with the dates on them. So those are real easy to date, those photographs. Yeah. And yes, so somebody could have looked at that stuff and said it was junk and really, you know, taken it right to the trash heap. You know, that was. But so the guy, here's what happened. The guy, he sees some names on the backs of the photographs, etc. Some names. So he calls up one of the names, and the person says, "Yeah, I'm in possession of Vivian Maier's photographs." And the person says, "Well, Vivian Maier's was my nanny." And so the guy's like, "Your nanny?" And so that's when the mystery and the story began. And this guy, like a sleuth, you know, investigated the whole story and delved in and talked to people who knew her and who employed her and the kids that, you know, she raised. And they did a great documentary. I'm really looking forward to seeing it sometime.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, you know, as more stuff develops about this, we'll probably discuss it or at least put it up on the forum and stuff and kind of keep up with this, because I think it's a phenomenal discovery of our time. You know what I mean? It's just, it's cool to see this peek into the 50s and 60s, you know?
Yeah. This is just scratching the surface, you guys, also. This is just the first. I mean, there's I think they said they had 1,000 rolls of undeveloped film or something.
Wow.
And there's movies. They said she wasn't a very good movie taker. Back then it was not even Super 8. It was that wind-up stuff, you know. But it was probably 8mm. But she seemed to be really in her element when she was shooting with that box camera.
What's amazing, if this was undeveloped film, is how well it was preserved. I mean, most of the time, and I have found some of my own 35mm film that I took later, and it's like only a couple years old, and either because it got too hot or whatever, it did, you know, it has red lines in it, and it's not very good. But it's amazing that this stuff actually come out this good, you know.
And you know, it's interesting you say that, because she just put stuff into plastic sleeves. She just left them, and a lot of times she was developing this stuff at the dime store. So these were dime store photographs. She didn't blow up anything. It took these guys to enlarge them and make them larger. They were just basically snapshots. And that's a good one right there. Go back to that one. Can you go back?
Which
The hands, the holding hands behind the back.
That one.
Yeah, I like that. Just the horizontal lines on her dress, and they're holding hands, and they don't even know she's taking a picture.
And that brings up a good point. Wheeling and dealing with Wheelie 5. Then I'm curious, the people who are showing these in shows, did they have to get permission of the subjects of her photos? What if someone in one of her shots comes along and says, hey, that's me and I don't want this shown? What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, you know, that's an interesting point, but something that's coming up that's even probably going to impact her photographs sooner than that is that there's now somebody. It's so funny when you make a discovery like this. Guess what? All the roaches come out.
Everybody wants a piece of it. Yep.
That's right. So this one lawyer found a relative, like a cousin, and they're supposedly going to try to muscle in on the copyright, because copyright is everything. Now, just because you have and I didn't really know this for sure, but I heard this just recently, just because you have a negative doesn't mean you have the copyright. I guess if you can prove the person released the photograph to you or was paid to take the photograph or something like that, but if somebody stands up and protests, then it goes to the court to decide.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe this person will share some of the multi-millions of dollars.
Well, and here's the thing with that. What's going to happen? The thing is she had no heirs to her estate because you said she had no children.
Right, but there's this cousin. They're trying to connect this cousin.
Right, but when you look at copyright law,
yeah,
it specifically speaks of immediate family, as in brothers, sisters, parents, and children. Generally, cousins is a long shot. I'm not saying he or she won't get paid, but they'll never obtain the copyright.
There'll probably be a settlement, just to get them off their back. They'll settle.
Right.
Absolutely, that's exactly what's going to happen. And like I said, that's when the cockroaches come out, and so that's an interesting thing. But as far as somebody protesting being in a photograph, that hasn't really happened. A lot of these people aren't living anymore.
Well, the other thing is this is in public areas. This is out in the public streets and in public areas, and I don't believe you got to have it when you're out in a public area like that you can take pictures of people.
Right.
Yeah, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy in public.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And there
I know I flipped past it, but
it was a cat.
Took some really gruesome pictures.
That's nasty.
It's funny that she.
But I mean, if it's gruesome, that's still a piece of. I mean, it's still history, I guess.
Like there was this one story that somebody said that somebody was hit by a car, and instead of helping the person, she was taking pictures of them.
Yeah, I flipped past that one already. It was a lady laying on the ground.
Yeah, and another time she took her the kids that she was the nanny of. She took them down to the wharf, I guess, or something like wherever the district was where they butcher meat, and she was like petting the live sheep before they would go in to be slaughtered, with the little kids standing there and taking pictures of them. And so there's something about this lady. That's something about this lady that's not quite right. There's something off. And
a little dark side.
Yeah, she had a dark side.
I mean, it just amazes me that she captured all this stuff, though. And I mean, I'm absolutely just enamored with it. It is just so cool to see. I mean, everything from the rich to the poor.
Look at all those doors. Wait, go back to that last one.
I mean, just
look at all the doors set up like a barricade. Like, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm sure if that was color, that would be really cool too.
Yeah, the dogs that she captured. There was a poodle earlier. I mean, a lot of New York, a lot of Chicago. I seen some France in there.
So one of the things that somebody just asked, the Queen City Picker asked us too about and I've not read up on this. I just heard about it. So when you say that it was undeveloped film, in my mind, I think that the guy found this in the box. That's to me undeveloped, but it sounds like they were developed to negatives, but they weren't printed as prints. He found boxes of negatives.
I think there was both.
Oh, really? Okay.
She was on a fixed income, and as I said, she, didn't develop a lot of these things. It was like she had that in her mind, and she took the picture and she filed it away, and she didn't need to see it. She knew it was good.
Right. Well, and the other thing, I mean, yes, film is going to go to get damaged with time, but it can also last as well. And she took thousands and thousands of images, and we're only looking at a few hundred of them.
Hundreds of thousands.
Oh, we know, she took there was 10,000 images in the storage unit, and only 1,000 of them were able to be printed, Well,
they're not even, like I said, they're not even through a fraction of it.
Right.
Well,
we're seeing the digital side of it, and it's very well that they may have already touched damage up. The image is still the image. They're not going to alter it, but they could have touched the damage up, I'm sure that's possible. I mean, did you see anything about that in the stuff you watched?
I think they said something that, some of the photographs suffered some damage from age, etc., being stored improperly or moisture or whatever. But predominantly, they're getting a high success rate of these images. Of course, these, as I said, these are the best. Not every image is, that she took was absolutely perfect, but I think when she was working with this box camera, you can just see the saturation of the blacks and whites, just the contrast there, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, even if these were the best, it's still phenomenal. I mean, as she attained this many just wonderful images.
You had to hold that camera like really still, because it didn't have these auto settings like we have on our digitals to keep from blurring, anti-blur functions. I mean, you had to really hold that still.
Yeah.
Yeah, these little workers, man. God, this is just, it's like, I don't know, it's like looking back at some family pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You see these older gentlemen that have just worked their ass off their whole life,
Yeah, different generation.
It's just great to see them captured in a picture,
Yeah. Yeah, just a real...
Boy, that picture with the slide looks something straight out of like a movie of the perfect family,
Yeah.
Like a Brady Bunch. Boy, great topic, Drew. Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought you guys would like that.
Great idea.
Now, aren't they making a documentary, or I thought I saw something about a documentary, or they maybe have already made it about?
They did a movie.
Yeah.
A movie. Okay, that's what I saw.
They did a book and they released a movie, and they are. What's amazing is that they're going to be able to think about this. Like, you could sell the original, or you could sell prints of the originals, to the cows come home.
Oh yeah.
I mean, think about that and how, you know, you can see how good those photographs are. And if you went to a gallery show and you saw the real image, then they would have on the side, you could probably buy the image as a print, a numbered. Obviously, she's not going to sign it, but it'd probably be a numbered print or something, or
Yeah.
and you could see how much money they could generate from that.
I mean, if you limited every one of the photos to even just 500, right, to make it a really special limited edition,
Yeah.
and how many photos there are, I mean, yeah.
I mean, there's honestly, there's a couple of images I would purchase.
Wow, that's weird. Look at this guy. Did you see that?
Didn't have an ear.
Didn't have an ear or half his face.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, if you
Probably from an accident or something.
yeah,
Like an acid burn or something.
if you think about there's got to be, I mean, I don't know, but there's got to be
I like that. That's funny.
That's
gotta be-
awesome.
there's got to be $50 million at least.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that doll almost looked real.
Yeah.
Eh,
But yeah, she will go down with people like Bernice Abbott and other great photographers, Henry Carter Bresson and Steinglitz.
look at that.
You see that? Art?
2.5% to 4% income tax voted by state senate.
It's funny. She was a Democrat, and she liked the Kennedys, and she would often take pictures with some kind of political comment in them.
Yeah.
Like
that one. The tax thing being like in that water mud puddle.
oh yeah,
Right.
It's like pretty.
In the gutter.
Yeah, in the gutter. No.
and it was interesting because everyone said she wasn't that she was a closed person. She wasn't an open person. She had her, like, you know, small circle of people, but she didn't have a lot of friends at all. Very like limited friends, and so they said she kind of had relationships through the lens of the camera. I like that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Joseph Cornell. You guys hear me?
Oh yeah. No, I have it. I'm not-
Joseph Cornell was a Dadaist artist back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and you've probably seen his work. He does those box installations behind glass. You've seen those little, probably in a museum or something, little bric-a-brac inside a box with glass over it. You ever see that? Anybody?
I don't
No?
recall. Yeah, I don't recall seeing
Well,
that.
anyways, Joseph Cornell was like a Vivian Maier, but he was probably doing it around the same time she was doing it. And he was also unmarried. He lived with his mom and his brother, and he assembled some great collages and photographic material. He was not a photographer per se, but he was Joseph Cornell used to collect and assemble a lot of material on subjects, and he'd have big files full of things and clippings and writings about things, and then he would incorporate them into his art. And he reminds me of a Vivian Maier. You know, she reminds me of a female Joseph Cornell. Of course, his boxes, when you see them, they're in museums, and they go for, you know, $5 million a piece.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, I've talked enough. You guys.
Yeah, I was just running the film silent just because it kind of showed some of her movies you mentioned, and it showed some of the film canisters and stuff that it came from, and the storage unit and the letters, and I don't know, it's kind of interesting.
And it's funny because this guy who found the film and everything. He wasn't really a filmmaker. And yet they supposedly did a pretty darn good job putting this film together. I mean, how could you not put a great film together about this story? It's just...
It would be really easy because of the content's so good, you know.
Yeah. Now it's funny, you guys. I watched this movie the other night, Basquiat. You know, that's the movie about Jean-Michel Basquiat, the artist back in the 70s and 80s. He was the black graffiti style artist. I don't know if you know who he is. And he was good friends with Andy Warhol and on that whole scene. Well, anyways, his work goes in the tens of millions of dollars now as well. He died of AIDS a number of years ago. But I watched a movie on him, and I tell you, the movie was... I liked the guy who played the lead role, but the movie was just like flat. And he was such a great artist, and they kind of blew the opportunity to show how good of an artist he was. So whoever does a film about this, like a real theatrical version, you know, I hope they make it more interesting than that movie was, because that was disappointing.
I hope they include like the responses of like the two companies that turned it down.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say sorry, the Tate Modern, sorry, we and you know, here's another thing that they said. This was only possible because of the internet, because this guy started putting out and advertising that he's going to make this film and the book, and he got exposure, and he didn't need to go down the traditional road of playing ball with the museums. You know, you can see how snooty they were, you know, and if it was me, I'd be rubbing their nose in it, you know.
I just wonder if they ever came back to him and asked to help him out or something.
It goes to show you that the people sometimes in those powerful positions don't know jack squat. Or that there's so much nepotism and insider favoritism that you just can't get in there if you're a nobody, you know? The guy sent him a whole bunch of pictures and said, this is what I have, and this is just a fraction. What do you think? And they said, we don't have a need for those.
Yeah, because the person wasn't famous yet.
Right.
Now I'm sure they don't mind.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. I really enjoyed going through that slide and looking at the pictures and all.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's so cool knowing that it's just a new discovery, you know? That it's not somebody that's been famous forever. That it was completely unknown, and, you know, it's like hitting the lottery after you're dead.
Yeah.
You know? It's great. Well,
yeah.
Hey, Drew, awesome. I appreciate the commentary. We're going to move on over to Dan. What you got for us, Dan?
Okay, so I went to an auction, was looking at some things, and I pointed out a couple things to my wife while I was at the auction. I said, "Oh, that's going to be too expensive. I'm not going to be able to get that." And so I'm sitting there, and then all these items came up in the auction, and I hear people. I bid a little bit, and then I let it go, and then I still see the bids going, and I look three people down as my wife, and she's bidding on this item, right? So she wins the item, and then she looks at me, and she says, "Happy anniversary." So she buys this for me. So this is an 1862 Lorentz Austrian percussion cap rifle. Trying to show all of it. Let me put me. I don't know if I'm on the big screen so everybody can see me.
Yeah.
See this.
Oh yeah, it's the Dan show right now.
So I when I got it, well, I got it. My wife bought it for me. Um, I didn't. It had a little tag on it that says possibly Civil War, rifle. And I always, I don't put a lot of faith into notes like that because you never know what people are trying to sell you at an auction, right? So they're trying to bump it up to make it look really good. But so I took it home, got it, looked at it. I started looking really close because there's markings and things. And what I found, I don't know if you can see. You see that mark in the gun, the wood? It says Ohio. It says Ohio and has a dot.
Interesting.
It has a dot at the end of it. So I started researching this gun. This was the third. There were two models made. There was an 1852 model, and later an 1862 model. But the Lorentz Austrian-made rifle was the third most used rifle in the Civil War on actually both sides of the war. Um, so they were made in Austria, but they were kind of sublet or sublet out. So the company would hire gunsmiths from different areas around their country, and sometimes in a couple places in the U.S. at the time, to build their guns for them. So when they built the guns, whoever got the job to build the guns would always tweak them a little bit. So a lot of them don't look the same. They have some specific markings on them and stuff that helps them look that way. But so let's see. So anyhow, so I found out a little bit about this. This is an 1862 one. The Ohio mark. I did a little more research and found out that so in 1862, the Ohio, the state of Ohio and the Ohio militia happened upon. They had a lot of these guns. They got about 20,000 of these guns that actually belonged to the federal government, and they got attacked a couple times. There were some battles in Ohio, and they got attacked a few times by the South. So they confiscated those arms from the federal government and basically put them in their National Guard armory. Well, their National Guardsmen, in the 1862, became Civil War soldiers. They were recruited basically into the Civil War. So when they got these guns, in order to make it known that it belonged to the Ohio armories for the National Guard, they put this mark on it. They put this Ohio mark on it. So they marked all their guns with this little mark, and there's another place on here. It's kind of hard to see. It'll probably be upside down. It's right here. There's another one right here, real faint. This one's a little better.
What the?
So then, whether this was actually used in combat, is unknown. I don't know. I have not fired this yet. It's a percussion cap gun, which means they basically load it with a powder and a ball and a paper, and it has the rod to tamp it down. It's in here, and then instead of the older flintlock where they had a piece of flint here, these were converted over to percussion cap. They put a cap on here, and when you pull the trigger, it hits the cap and it goes off. They said that this, from what I read, having this kind of sight, made this, and because it's as long as it is, this was used more for snipers. Would use this for longer range and for like sniper fire. So that's about all I know about it. This is my first. I've always wanted a Civil War era gun, and this is like my first one for my collection. And I'm hoping that I can find more, especially at the price I got this at. And then after finding out, and I had it appraised, and I had it verified too that it was real, and through the experts that I had look at it, they told me too that it was. And then I did a lot of extra research and found more about the Ohio mark and where it was. But anyhow, so that's my little show and tell. It did have let's see. I thought that it had a ring. There was a ring right here. There's a hole. It had a ring inside of there that was part of the shoulder strap. And then it would have had another clamp around here that would have the other end of it so that they could strap it around their shoulder and carry it. But that's what this hole was, because I found some pictures of these with the ring actually in it down here.
Cool.
The butt of it is all metal. And it's very heavy. And I've been tempted to take it to someone to inspect it, clean it out. I'd love to fire it once. That would be kind of cool. But it's actually a rifled bore also.
Yeah, it would be fun to fire them, but I don't know if I would do it or not.
I know. Well, I'd be worried that it'd like blow up and then I lost a gun and maybe my arm and half my face, or who knows, you know.
Yeah, I'd be more worried about losing the gun. You can give it enough time, you can replace the arm, but the gun can't be replaced, you know.
Yeah. So anyhow.
So awesome, Dan. Well, that's great. I'm kind of liking seeing some of the weapons we've had on lately, you know. It's an important piece of militaria when you have a weapon.
I'm sorry, I missed that, but what war would that have been if that was in any war?
Civil War. From 1862 era, yeah.
And
whether
made
it was
in
yeah,
Ohio?
well, no, it was made in Austria, but it was held in the Ohio National Guard militia arsenal, and that's what that identification mark meant on there.
And is there was there some stamp on the barrel?
No, there's stamps on. There are a few marks on the breech down here. There's a little. This is. It's going to be hard to see. Maybe I can show you. See right there?
Yeah.
Now you get to focus. I hang behind it. Kind of looks like a flower, but it's actually a seal, like it's an eagle.
Oh, interesting.
And that was the mark for the Lawrence manufacturing. There's another number. It's actually under this right here, and you can only see part of it. You have to take the hammer off to see it. Get it to focus without being shiny. See that number right there? You can only see. Yeah, you only see 2 digits. There's 4 digits in that number. I don't know what the other 2 are. I'm really worried about taking this apart because I'm worried I'll never get it back together again. So, but that's a serial number for it. And there's 4 digits in that number supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the stuff the research I did initially was mostly online, and this is not an uncommon. It's not rare. They estimated that the Federals during that time purchased something like 300,000 of them, and the Confederates had purchased something like 100,000 of them. So that alone, there's still quite a few, but the fact how old it is and surviving like in this condition is pretty rare.
It's a great wall hanger. It's a great wall hanger.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm looking for a bracket that's made out of wood because you don't want to hang them. You don't hang them on metal because the metal will deteriorate. So you have a nice soft wooden type thing. Yeah, it's going above my fireplace.
I know a joiner in the UK that could build you a custom one.
Oh really? Free shipping?
I don't know. I could talk to him. He'd probably be a pretty fair deal, but he's a hell of a craftsman.
Cool.
He's a big Army Air Force collector, so you could probably even trade him something.
I do have one thing, and it does fall in the realm of art and collecting. Something I just picked up recently, and I kind of wanted Drew to take a quick look at it if we have time. Do we got time?
Yeah, go for it, Dan. Go for it. This is a freewheeling show tonight.
Okay. So it's kind of weird looking.
I've had that statue.
You do?
I have had it. if you lift it up, mine went down a lot further in her body, though.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them when I was looking for this. This is a J. Austin Productions sculpture. I don't know. The artist's name is on here, and I think it's either Roma, R-O-A, or R. I can't read it because it's scratched in there. It looks like R-O-O-M-A, but it could be R-C-O-M-A. I'm not sure. It's dated 1986. Let me turn around and see if I can show you. Oh, this thing is really heavy. It's like a piece of concrete.
Yeah, I am not familiar with that artist.
See if I can get you close here. But it looks that, well, let's see. Oh, I'm trying to do this on that.
Oh, nice close-up. Yeah, I like that.
I really like your webcam. What are you using?
It's a Logitech. I don't know. It's not that. It's kind of old, actually. If I can get that better. Come on. So that's the name.
Just throw a little salt on that you know, oh, it's Logitech, kind of old, and then rub it into us, you know.
Well, here's the problem with this: that you see the formica's missing on the back of the base, and it's kind of lifting up in a couple places. But the sculpture itself. Oh, let me go over here.
I'm sure you could probably restore that formica pretty easy, though.
Yeah. And there's the markings. It's hard to. It says 1986, and it says Austin Productions. And I looked it up, and they sell a lot of these. I mean, I see a lot of them around. The ones from the 60s tend to have a little more value to them. But I have yet to find one that looks like her.
What happened to yours, Chad?
Sold it.
How much did you get for
But
it?
it was like concrete, and it had most of her body, and it didn't have a base. It was actually concrete, and it like set. But yeah, it was. I
How did you
remember
pack it?
research on it and everything, and as soon as I saw it, the style, I knew it's like. I mean, it's not even the same lady.
Yeah.
But I can tell it's by the same artist.
Because when I was looking at these, I'm seeing a lot that has this kind of this look, you know, this really narrow, and I'll bet it's the same artist.
Absolutely, it's the same artist. There's no doubt in my mind. And when you said Austin, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's. I know I have pictures and stuff of it.
And this right here looks more like Native American attire, with the neck decoration, and these are earrings in here. And this right here kind of has a look like a Native American look. Even her face does.
I know you said you sold yours, Chad. Where did you originally get yours from?
I believe it was either a storage unit or an auction house or a garage sale. I don't remember.
I got this at an auction, and nobody bid on it, and I paid $5 for it.
I think that's probably how I got mine too.
So I said, you know what? This is just too cool for $5 to not be worth that. You know, not to be worth something. So
I think you really like her. I see you stroking her hair.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep her. She's a little heavy, but
not bad for $5.
I don't know if my wife will let me keep it. She's just like, this is kind of ugly, and I'm like, no, I think it's cool. It's really cool.
No, she's probably just afraid you're going to start collecting sculptures now. It's not that particular one. She's worried about the other 40 that are going to follow.
Yeah, they're going to come next, yeah. More shelf space somewhere. But, yeah, that's pretty cool. She has a little, I don't know if it's paint. But yeah, she's very heavy, though. This thing weighs a ton. Well, that's all I got to show tonight.
I would say I probably sold mine in my my booth.
Oh yeah.
Because it was heavy. I mean, it was heavy.
That's what I'm going to do with mine. I think I'm going to probably try to take it over there. I got to fix that formica somehow on there. That's maybe that part.
Awesome. All right, Chad. What do you got to share tonight?
Yeah, make it happen, Logan. In my wallet. I got two sets of things. This first thing we got today, and I'm hoping Drew can help me with it. I understand. I'm in my new office, and there's no furniture yet. It's still all out in the garage. So I know I'm like loud, so I'm going to try to keep my voice lower. But Drew, I got this today. It's a book. It's a Japanese book. I think it's Japanese. But I got it because I know it cannot be cheap to do this. It's in a case, a cover, and I mean it's got the heavy staple cover, and the book itself, it has like a paper sheath on it down here. I can't read it. It's got fish on it, and it's got, I think it's Japanese. It's got this, but it's got these like little papers. I don't know what those papers are for.
Yeah, the paper protects the print or whatever.
Well, it's got a little sticker right there.
Now, does the paper
fish identification book maybe? I don't know.
Huh.
And I don't even know how to tell what year it is because it's all in foreign language.
Yeah, that's neat.
For
it looks kind of 50s, 60s to me.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got its own big.
Just from my experience with those, Chad, that's definitely a good intuition when you see that paper to protect the prints. Right. And it's got a case to cover the book. It generally means that it's some sort of original print art book.
Okay, but yeah.
Usually there's more value. Now I've had some that aren't worth anything, and I've had others that go through the roof. You know.
By the way,
that's good. It's good intuition that it's something collectible.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it. What would it cost to make this thing? I mean, it'd make a lot of. I mean, it'd be a lot of money. You've got the actual case. You've got this paper sleeve that goes around it, and but.
Well, you know, the Japanese, they love their stationery. They love their printing techniques. They love all that written calligraphy stuff, and they put it together like nobody else. Sometimes it's a box within a box, and it's really nicely laid out.
Yeah. All right, here we come on. How many of you guys remember these? Yeah, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys know what these are?
Yep.
Tyco or
they're electric race car controllers.
Right. This is Tyco, and this is
Tyco.
And this is some of the things you need to look about. I'm not going to talk money really, but I'm going to talk about value. You know, the Tyco has the speed passer switch, and you know all that good stuff, and it just looks so much.
That was later.
Yeah, but the Aurora is badass. Yeah, Aurora is a very good. But let me get into some of the cars.
All right.
Okay, what year are we talking?
These are the 70s. Okay, like this is the Aurora.
Okay, now I understand because I was born in '81, so I'm like.
Baby.
You were only born in '81, Elena? I thought you were so much older.
You're younger than me. Be quiet.
You were born a year before my older brother.
81.
This is the Aurora, the AFX.
Yeah.
Plus. Okay.
Plus.
Yeah, the G Plus. And the cars are G Plus cars. And what's awesome about it is they're the old F1 cars. Okay. I've got the track down there, and it's just follow me there. And
what's the scale?
This is 70s, and it's got all the documents, and it's even got the, you know, where you bend this and, put it around the track. It's
Set
your
up the
grandstand. And
grandstand.
they call these slot cars because, they've got the pin and the hole in the track in the middle.
Right.
So,
Well, the young kids, the kids today, they don't know what that is, Chad.
Yeah, it's like, what's that? But, this one is a desired one. This is the Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's the Ferrari. I mean, we're talking I believe this is 1975, possibly maybe 76.
Can I see the bottom?
I've got the.
Okay.
See, they come with the. I've got the Ferrari ones off. I was checking the springs on the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Because the Ferrari's got more of the value.
In the 60s, those cars had little brushes, almost like little stainless steel brushes that would connect to the track.
Yeah. And if you look at these really close, I don't know how easy it is to see, but like the front tires, the rubber on them, I mean, these things wear the rubber off the tires. And here's the...
Oh, you don't think that's just a low-profile tire?
No, you can tell it's worn. Like this back tire, you could tell it got stuck.
Yeah.
It was dragging because it's flat. It literally drug and it just ate it down.
We used to light those on fire and watch them go around the track.
My wallet is in the car under the seat.
We were really destructive.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you're going from, and this is the Tyco, and the Tyco, I believe, is 79, I believe, or maybe 80, I can't remember. But with this one, we've got, this is the Mustang.
Yeah.
Now, see, these don't have the slots in the track. The Tyco.
Yeah, that has the the contact.
This has 3. I mean, these things just are.
Yeah, that's older, I think, right?
I don't think it's older because this is the car on the Mustang, and
Yeah, I think that's newer.
yeah, I think it's newer, and I mean, the condition of these cars are awesome because these things would get beat and banged up bad.
Because if I remember right, there was a version like that where the cars could change lanes.
I think this is it because it does not have the slots.
Right. And there was something you could do, either there was a piece of track or there was something with the controller you could do that would make it hop from one track.
Yeah, well, you push the button, it's the pass button.
There you go.
The super pass switch.
Yeah. And it would somehow send a charge to that center rail that would push it over or something. Yeah,
well, they do have, if you look, like the van has 3 of those things on the bottom. This car has 2, one on the outside.
Yeah.
And then this car has 2 on one side, so they're all on different.
Yeah, that's
so
what
they can actually.
So you could still control the car even when it was in the second lane. It was still your car, right?
And it could be in the same lane as this car and be controlled by the same. Correct.
Right,
well, here I've got the whole track right here.
Yeah.
And there's usually a transformer that comes with it, right, Chad?
Yeah, the transformer and all that. This is the glow in the dark.
Oh,
yeah. It's got some of that tape on it. I haven't gotten that tape on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
but,
Chad. Here's the
I
thing.
I remember the transformers would buzz. They.
All right, Chad. You need to take the biggest. You need to take the biggest one that has the most track and set it up. You've got to put this thing together and do a video.
I'll put them. I'm going to put both these different ones in.
You got enough room now. You got a big house. Just put it up on the board somewhere.
And even though we don't talk about selling, but of course we do. That probably wouldn't be bad for you to do a YouTube video of it running, Chad.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, I also I don't know if you can tell, but we're about in the same time frame. But You guys remember the old Crossfire game right here?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, these things nowadays, if you were a parent, you'd probably get thrown in jail for giving this to your kids because it literally shoots ball bearings.
Yeah, it does. It shoots a ball bearing. And you're at the other end of that.
I mean, it's just the things that we played with as kids now would just be totally unacceptable. I mean, it's just, oh my goodness. But yeah,
Well,
I mean,
shoot, Chad, Dan already showed off your first hunting rifle from when you were a teenager.
mine was a 22, a Marlin, I think.
I have a set of Jarts, Jarts.
Oh yeah.
New in the box. I have a set of those. They got banned.
Yeah, you can't sell them.
You know what? I have my father probably still has them, but I played with those when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, I bought them. I remember in the early 80s is when I bought these, and that's when they were. And we did, you never use them. Just when you go on a picnic, you take them. So I left them in the original box, and then they banned them, and I had them in the attic. I still have them. I saw them the other day. I was, oh my God, these are like brand new in a box. Problem is, you can't sell them anywhere because you can't sell them. You're kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's like my Cabbage Patch Kid. I can't sell anymore. The one that eats the
Yeah.
stem. Yeah.
People like your pink cart, Chad.
You know, I got this cart today. It's a heavy duty. It's got wheels on it. It looks pink, but I mean, it's solid. It's solid metal, and I can roll it from the garage to my office with stuff on it, like stuff I got today. Amazon sellers, you know what this is.
Hey, I wanted to ask Chad, have you ever come across, or Erik, or Elena, or anybody on the panel, has anybody come across one of these court reporter devices that fit in a case?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
Stenographer.
And
Yeah.
I saw one tonight. Now, what do you think they're worth?
I sold mine for I think $120, and it had a brown plastic case with it.
Yeah. All right, they had one at the Goodwill today, and I looked at the sticker and I thought, $9.99, I'm taking it. So I walked around with it a while, and I looked at the sticker again, and I saw a 6 in front of the 1. I mean, $69.99.
Oh,
Yeah, and they're like typewriter. I mean, you got to make sure that I mean, if you want to, do it right. I know it's sitting about selling and stuff, but it's just if you look into typewriters and stuff like that, you got to make sure your keys don't stick. You got to make sure your ribbons, if you can even get replacement ribbons, that can be a big problem for a lot of old typewriters is replacement ribbons, and just there's all kinds of little springs and wires that can cause something not to work. And
this thing was cherry. I mean, I probably should have just bought it just to deal with it my first time. But
it would be a shelf piece probably.
Yeah. I just thought there might be some collectors that might want some, because it was cherry. I mean, and when you push down on these keys, it had a certain feeling. It was really interesting. I've never messed with one, and the case was beautiful. It was not beautiful, but just vintage 19. I'd say this court reporting thing was from the 60s, 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
It had that old black kind of heavy case with it. Anyway, sorry, but thought I'd ask you about that.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got the Tycos and the Aurora cars for childhood. This is what I remember for childhood.
You were, yes.
Yeah. This is like my favorite.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll cut Chad off there, and we'll lean right into Elena, since she wants to show off some of her little Nintendo game.
Oh yeah, I love Qbert. Woohoo! I'm seriously gonna play this. I should make a video playing this. And then, you know what? I don't really have that much tonight. I got out a couple things that maybe I haven't talked about and shown people. Whenever I come across anything like this, it's a bracelet and a ring attached with a train, and this is basically a slave bracelet. This one's a more modern, like 1995 one, but even this will go for 10 and up. I know we don't do prices, but it's always something that I like to pick up because you don't come across it very often, and people like them, and people do collect them. The older ones do very well. But this is just one of those items that's very distinguishable, if that's how you say it. You can't not, see this or, the style. And then another thing that I like to pick up is like the retro. Are you talking, Drew?
Can you model that for us, the bracelet on the slave thing?
I guess I could.
Yeah.
I think it fits my pinky. Or maybe you can fit this one. Nope.
Oh, it's small then. Yeah,
And then
cool.
like with these bracelets,
Yeah,
sideways and then turn.
nice.
But usually it will like go on the middle finger.
Yeah. Cool.
And my hands aren't very manicured. So.
Thank you.
And then here, I always like to look for these roses. These roses are like retro, 1930s usually, and I mean they go back to like they were used for like Victorian, but you see this isn't really carved very deeply, so it's more like retro, 30s, 40s. But people like the roses and collect them, so when I see them and I can pick it up for $1, I do. And other than that, that's about it. I have a copper thing that I picked up here recently that I have next to me just to show different than jewelry because I like my copper. But people are always liking to collect and put these up on the wall or,
Yeah, I love that, Elena. That's a good piece.
Yeah, the only thing is that in the wooden, it has the screw and stuff, but it's missing the very, very top.
Finial. Finial.
What?
It's called a finial.
A finial? That's what that's called?
Yeah, the top of little things is called a finial.
There you go. I learned something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are
I'm not
finials.
gonna remember, but I can go back to this video.
And
There are-
all you need to do is just get a little round little handle, like a little drawer, little pull kind of thing, and you can put that screw right through it, and yeah,
Yep.
put a glass handle on there if you wanted to, or neat.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like it actually. It's
Totally, that thing is 130 years old.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, that's
but-
about that's 1880s, 1890s.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah, things don't get that old in less than that. That's an awesome piece. You could just imagine how many cups of coffee was served out of that thing.
Hey, I'm having a meet and greet March 8th in Fort Lauderdale. Maybe I'll serve some coffee. So, yeah, I can appreciate that. I like that, so I had to pick it up. I got it for $2 or $3.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I figured the weight of copper.
Was there? It was just a pot. There wasn't like a filter or anything in there, right?
No.
So can you imagine drinking coffee like that, where they used to do that, where they just pour the coffee in the water and they heat it and then they just pour it out and strain the coffee out of it. If you've ever gone camping, I had a coffee pot that was kind of like that one time, and it was like, oh, it had just a metal thing in it, but it always got coffee in it. So
I don't know. Well, maybe this is like a huge tea thing. I don't know.
Either way.
I got a
Yeah.
question. What's the chances of finding like a 1960s balsa plane that was never put together?
Probably,
I think you have a kegel of it.
probably pretty good because that's a lot of work. And I have a garage full of those kind of things because I thought, oh, this will look cool when I build it, and I never built it, and so they just sit there and sit there. But there are collectors who like that original because they don't make kits like that anymore. They don't make.
Yeah, I got all these things from an attic. And they all came, the racetrack sets and stuff came from an attic.
That's nice.
But you know what? That particular one, could you show that again?
Yeah, it's the top flight or the flight streaker.
Okay, is it a control line? Does it say control line? I can't tell. Or is it a RC?
No, I think it's like a rubber band maybe.
No, that's pretty big. That's a combat or stunt. I'll bet you that's a control line plane. So you know the kind where they have the two wires and they stand in the middle and go around circles and fly with the motor on.
Oh,
That has a motor on the picture. Is that a
does
motor?
it have a motor?
A little tiny like Cox B, baby B type motor. That's what it
I
looks
don't
like.
think the motor comes with it.
No, I wouldn't come with it. But
I always loved the way those little motors smelled when they first started up. You know, the gas.
Yeah.
I don't know. It smells a certain way.
Yeah,
You
it's
guys-
because it's an alcohol. It's a glycerin methanol
It's a-
alcohol mix. Yeah,
Yeah, it takes a .35 engine.
there you go. That's a little tiny gasoline motor.
Oh, so that puts this in a specific category then.
It's a control line airplane. They still do that, and there's still guys that fly those. But that's kind of cool. That makes it a little special.
But that's pretty awesome. Well, I know we had last week. Chad had showed a panoramic. So, and I mentioned that about the serious and funny panoramics. So I thought I would show one. Let's see if I can find them. Well, first we'll start with a real panoramic. This is one that I have of the 38th Infantry Regiment. This is the entire regiment. This photo, I know it's kind of fuzzy because I had to take it with a panoramic feature on my phone, but it's about 4 feet long.
Wow.
That is all 4 companies of the 38th. This is 1946, so this is within a year after them returning from World War II. And it's an awesome photo. It's one of my favorites. I need to have it framed.
Oh, there you
I
go.
haven't
That's
had it
after-
framed yet.
That's after World War II.
This is 1946. So
I'd be like, get me out of here from what World War II is pretty horrible.
what's cool, you know, the 38th, that's the regiment I served 2 tours in Iraq with. But they
Yeah.
are a very storied regiment from World War I, World War II, Korea, and then Iraq. And actually, they've done a tour in Afghanistan as well. So that regiment has now served in 5 different wars.
Well,
Where was this photo taken?
This is actually in Texas, where they were a training regiment right after the war. And I actually have the yearbook. I could probably identify all the officers in the front because I have the 46 yearbook that goes with this photograph.
Oh,
But
I love how
so what's cool
the
is if you look
vehicles.
at these guys, though, do you see all the medals and ribbons on their chest? These are all World War II veterans that are standing there. They've all got CIB, Combat Infantryman badges. They all have overseas medals. It's pretty wild. These are, a regiment of war heroes is what you're looking at.
Now, I'm kind of surprised that they continue to use the same regiment number. Is that a normal thing that goes on?
Yeah, actually, my regiment, the original extended lineage can be linked all the way back to the Civil War. the official history lineage starts in actually Syracuse, New York, in 1913 or 1916. I'd have to look it up specifically.
Yeah, typically military units don't change their names unless it gets disbanded or they get gobbled
Right.
up by bigger or
Right.
attacked.
Now, when we're talking about regiments, now when you start talking about brigades, that's a whole different level, if that makes sense. Because, like, I belong to the 4th Stryker Brigade, which was brand new and no longer exists. It started in 2006, and it was dissolved last year, and the regiments went on to a different brigade.
Yeah.
Because if I was thinking about like organization and history, I would sort of give the regiment the number, and then basically retire that number and move on from that number. It kind of defines where it was, but apparently that's not the way it works.
It cements them in history, but no, because like me being a 14th MP Brigade, I mean, it was there was a lot of service in Vietnam and stuff like that. It makes you proud to be a part of it, and you actually wear your unit citations, which shows the unit, what the unit had done in the past. So, I mean, the lineage, and you learn the history of your units and your brigade and all that stuff.
You gotta fix your camera a little bit, Chad. Raise your camera up a little bit. There you go. Well, that's interesting stuff, guys. I didn't know that. I guess you would want to kind of connect with the history and kind of, you know, be proud of that and have that, you know, as part of your newer battalion, I guess.
They've run out of numbers anyway, you know.
Yeah.
It's confusing the way it is.
That's awesome. So you guys saw, I don't know if you saw my recent video of my dumpster dive.
I heard about it.
I found this solid sterling silver pin, not a designer, but an art.
We'll roll back to you, Drew. I won't forget you. We'll just run over time tonight.
Okay. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you stepped away.
No, it's all right. I appreciate it, though.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just scrolling through the rest of this panoramic.
Okay, sorry.
This is actually, I know Dan asked, this is Camp Swift, Texas. 21 March 1946 is what it was written.
I love the way the vehicles are all like in parade in the back too.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Well, and then here you see the company flags. And what I found fascinating about this is that ACO 38th Infantry Regiment flag, I've actually seen that flag because it sat in our regiment headquarters.
I like the symmetry of the photograph. Look, it's all like they look like bowling pins, you know, 1, 4, and then would that have been the general in the front, and then the
no, the highest ranking in the regiment's a lieutenant colonel.
That'd be the lieutenant colonel in the front?
Well, no, now down here in the companies, that's going to be a captain.
Okay.
Unless those are separate battalions. It's kind of hard to tell. Let me look. Hold on. Let me correct myself. Okay. So this is, okay, you're right. So this is the regiment. So in the front of this is probably going to be a full bird colonel, okay, in the center. And then each of those battalions will have a lieutenant colonel heading up the battalions.
And then right in the center is that guy Special, the guy who's right standing in the center?
Yeah, that would be the colonel. That would have been the colonel of the regiment. He would have been the commander for the whole regiment. But now, in modern day, there is only one battalion of the regiment that is still active duty, and that's the 1st of the 38th.
And is this picture taken in the desert or out on the? Where is that taken?
Well, this is Texas, so probably.
Yeah.
Pretty wide open. Probably on a parade field on Camp Swift.
Wait,
Which is what it says. Yeah, it says Camp Swift, so probably a parade field. But, I mean, it's just the tanks, the wheelies in the background.
Yeah.
It's just an awesome picture. And this is something from my personal collection. This is, you know, part of the 38 history that I collect. So I really love this picture.
You got some barracks in the background, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it looks like.
Those barracks, that's going to be all wood, whitewashed with, I mean, fireplaces and chimneys, and there's still a lot of those on bases today that they use them for classrooms. Tough living arrangements back then.
Yeah, I could never be in the army, you guys.
Well, here's another cool one. This is at Camp Sydney. This is I think it's blurred out, but this is Company C, 38th Infantry Regiment. Yeah, you can see their guide on there to the left. But again, these are all combat vets, and if I went down through the rosters, there's probably some really what I would call badasses or hardcore guys sitting in this picture, you know, just plain war heroes. But what I was talking about, this is a smaller panoramic, kind of like what Chad showed last week, and this is their serious face, right? Well, here's the same picture.
Yeah.
They take the berets off, they're smiling. I've seen these where they're joking around. You can see, like, up in the center here, these two guys are, you know what I mean? Like, he's staring off, completely breaking, you know, traditions and
all
the
their
standards.
All their ties are tucked into their shirts.
Well, that was the way they wore them back then.
That's exactly right.
It's part of the uniform, yeah. But it's just cool to see that serious into goofy, you know? It just kind of shows their personality a little bit. But what's cool here is, I mean, you see almost every single one of these guys is wearing a combat infantryman badge, which tells you right there that, you know, they were in the war. These are war heroes.
Yeah.
So, but hey, that's all I've got, Drew. I know you had some interesting stuff going on, so let's go ahead and we'll run over it. What else you got to talk about tonight, Drew?
That little dumpster dive. This one's for Elena. Swarovski.
I saw your video.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. I was looking at my favorite dumpster and I found this this flash drive, rhinestone encrusted Swarovski flash drive. Look at that. So that's for the ladies, I guess, and
Very nice.
the keychain. Anyway, that was interesting. And then what I really liked was this, which was a piece of handmade studio type of sterling silver jewelry by this artist named Annabelle Kaufman. Real interesting, signed on the back. My camera's not doing the job that Dan's camera was doing.
Yeah, you need the old Logitech ones.
You get an old camera, yeah.
I have a Logitech, but it's...
Put your hand behind it.
I have a
That helps
Logitech.
focus.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, it's one of those... Would you call that pin back? Is that pin back, Elena?
A C-class stuff, actually.
C-class, okay.
But that's like you can tell it's not really like the antique types. But you don't usually see C-class in like modern to mid-century.
That's bad. That's better.
There you
Sorry,
go.
guys. Sorry, guys. Anyway, nice big thick chunk of sterling silver for free. Rescued it. Somebody threw this out in the trash, you guys.
Yep.
Anyways, that was a nice.
I'm telling you, Drew. I'm coming to when I come out to San Diego. I'm coming down to visit you just to go dig through the dumpsters.
Your dumpster,
I mean,
is it by an apartment complex or buildings, or is it by like a business?
Oh, I can't tell you my divulge anything.
I'm listening, and I live closer than all of you guys. I'm headed up there when he gives his first signal, man.
Now, the
I'm
thing is,
asking if it's residential or business. How in the
hasn't-
world would that give
it
out the
hasn't-
location?
it hasn't been yielding. Let's just say it hasn't been yielding what it normally did in the past, but it's one of those hit and miss things that some days I look there and some days I look and I don't find anything. So
So does
and-
that mean it's a residential or business dumpster?
that means I'm not going to tell you.
Hey, Drew, you need to like do a video of your dumpster dive.
No.
Come on. And we'll like look in the
No.
back. We'll zoom to the background and look at the street.
You know what? I
signs
already
and
have
the
enough
addresses.
competition. I'm telling you, there's already enough competition. Other people know about this place,
Yeah, that's probably why you haven't found anything, huh?
and they're there too. So, but just know that whatever I find, and I do think it's good, I will bring it to you, and I won't fudge the truth, because if I pay for something, I'll tell you what I paid for it. You know. But if I find something, I'll bring it to you, and I think it's cool to find stuff for free and rescue it from the trash. You know, that stuff was going to go to the trash.
So let me ask you a question. From your experience, would you recommend to people who are interested in dumpster diving to consider residential dumpsters or business dumpsters?
Don't answer that.
All of the above.
Chad.
Yeah, all of the above.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with dumpster diving.
Like, I found the cameras on the street, so I don't know if that's a dumpster dive, but I found the cameras walking down the street. So those Nikon professional cameras, which I haven't sold yet, by the way, but I do want to sell them. But so sometimes it's not even in a dumpster. So you just gotta keep your eyes open and look around. And sometimes I see a box and I go, should I go look in the box? And I think, there's not going to be anything in there, and I think I better go look in the box.
Yeah, I do that too.
You know.
In my work, I walk down an alley and there's stuff, and when I go to work, when I walk in there to go eat lunch, I have my work friends with me, and they're always on me because I keep stopping and looking at all the dumpsters. And I go like this down the alley, looking at all the trashes. They're like, come on, what are you doing?
Be careful.
Hey, I mean, honestly, you never know. And you can even do the modern dumpster dive and just watch Craigslist. Just get into a little bit of money and business type stuff real quick, because I thought it was just kind of cool. I have an employee, and I've been teaching him a lot, and I've also, encouraged him to watch Craigslist. He went and picked up a free box of Xerox ink yesterday. And before he left, he works FedEx. He moonlights at FedEx a couple hours a night. He listed some of it before he went to work. He got out of work and he had made $300.
There was a yard sale site
for free boxes,
Yeah.
and he still has about $500 in ink left for something he was handed free.
There was a yard sale site that said that posted a picture of a big RV. I mean, a full-size RV. I think probably a 30-footer. And he was like, "We got to get it out of here. Come, it's free for anybody who wants to come and get it."
Yeah.
It didn't run. It probably didn't run, but you could. I don't know. I wish I had the space, and I wish I was on.
Scrapperella would have been all over that. She would have found a way to put it in the back of her Nissan pickup.
Yeah, there's a way. It's like stuffing an Amazon box. It's like Tetra. You stuff it in the
Hey, Sean,
yeah,
do you have anything, dude?
Well, all right, before we get too far off topic, we'll be talking in the Hangout afterwards. I plan on posting it. We'll all be, most of us will probably be hanging around. But we do want to thank you for joining us this week. I know we were a little bit, off our normal thing, but I think it keeps it interesting. The photography was just awesome.
No, I thought that
I'm really
was
happy that Drew suggested that and that we did it. I want to mention a couple of Facebook groups. One in particular is the Reseller Society, as some of our esteemed panel are founders of. Great group. Another group is the Green Room, which I joined recently. They've let me post my my links in there for this show, so I definitely want to give them a shout out if you want to go check them out. And I believe they do a show on Tuesday nights normally, and I think they've got a I don't know, that fellow from Thrifty When the Boys next Tuesday night. They're going to be talking to him on their show. Let's see, what do we got? We got Toadcast tomorrow night, Sean. Is he shaking his head? Yeah.
Tom hasn't been feeling good.
Yeah, tomorrow, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. I don't have a topic or anything. I have been killing myself because I don't know how to top last week's show, so I don't know what it's
All
going to
right,
be.
hey, cool, no worries. Hey, so we got Toadcast.
Just become Captain Sean. You'll be fine.
Right.
No.
So tune in for the Toadcast, and then I believe we got the R show Sunday night.
Yeah, Sunday night, 6 o'clock.
Our show Sunday night. We got Pickers Church, Chad.
Pickers Church will not be this Sunday, but the next Sunday, we're like this Wednesday, we're gonna start and go, and then stay with Pickers Church the following Sunday. So, and we're gonna have a schedule, and it's
Cool.
We're excited.
All right, and then so no Pickers Church, but we got Profit Talk with Danica and Deb on Monday night, and then we've got the reseller meet and greet next Wednesday.
And of course, the morning show is it Monday, Wednesday, Friday now?
Yeah, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Just go join the morning show group. Tell Paul to make his mind up. Figure out what his schedule is going to be. And but yeah, no, I really think it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I think it's like a couple of days it starts at 9, and one day it starts at 10. But if you join the Reseller Wake Up Facebook group, the times that we posted there, that's the easiest thing to do. So, yeah, so that's about it for this week. We'll be hanging around for a little bit. Look for the link to be posted in the Collector's Catacomb. Look for it to be posted in the Reseller Society. Also, check out the sourcingforum.com and alliedmilitariaforum.com. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Cheers.
Bye.